أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and we send our blessings and salutations on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today I'm here with an honoured guest, Sister Kate. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. If you could just give us a little introduction to yourself.
Okay, sure. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Kate. I'm 47. I reverted to Islam over 30 years ago, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Mum of two girls who are 22 and 14, alhamdulillah. Single mum, raising my daughters on my own, and I'm full-time carer for my youngest daughter who's on the spectrum, autism spectrum.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
How are you finding that as a single mum, looking after your daughter?
Oh, challenging, but alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Would you care to share a little bit about your journey to Islam? What made you revert? How you reverted?
Sure. So when I was about 16, I was working in the city and I met someone that through my work, he was Muslim, and he told me about Islam. He became like my boyfriend, I guess, at 16. I spent Ramadan getting to know him better and about Islam. I spent my first iftar, and I was asking a lot of questions, I guess, about Islam. And then when I was 17, I met somebody else who was also Muslim, and he was telling me about Islam, and I thought, oh, this makes a lot of sense to me, so I decided to take my shahada.
And mashallah. What was it that attracted you initially to take your shahada and become a Muslim?
I guess I've always had questions about Jesus dying on the cross, even when I was a young child. I thought that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would God do this? I was always asking my dad, why? And then I got told the truth, alhamdulillah, and that made me decide, I guess. Alhamdulillah.
Was your family Catholic, Christian?
We're a Church of England, so
Church of England,
Christian.
Subhanallah. Did you find when you reverted that you faced any challenges or any backlash from family, friends?
No, alhamdulillah, no.
So your family was very accepting?
Yeah, no, very accepting, yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, they're very accepting, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. What about friends? Did your friends...
I have many friends.
You didn't have many friends?
No, my ex-husband's friends were my friends, I think, yeah. So I didn't have that many friends, no.
What was your experience when you reverted in connecting with born Muslims, so to speak?
Well, my experience was when I went to Pakistan, because the majority are Muslims over there, alhamdulillah, so yeah, it was good, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. What about here in Australia? Do you find that it's hard to really connect with the Muslim community?
It can be, because you get a lot of judgment. Well, I do personally get a lot of, I shouldn't say judgment, I don't know what they're thinking, but I feel like, you're Australian, what do you know about Islam? And people just have presumed things about you, I guess, yeah.
What about in Ramadan? Do you find it as a revert quite difficult in Ramadan to feel what, say, that the born Muslims would feel during this month?
It gets very lonely, because I've got my girls, alhamdulillah, but really don't have anyone to celebrate. I shouldn't reference this, but Christmas, you celebrate with family and friends, and during Ramadan, you're supposed to celebrate with family and friends, and I really just celebrate with my girls. Alhamdulillah, we go out for Eid to a restaurant, and that's how we spend Eid,
Do you find because of that you sort of, besides the worship in times of Ramadan, do you find that you miss that whole connection, I would say, or that really togetherness that's supposed to be a part of Ramadan in the Muslim community?
Yes, I do, yes. It can be very lonely for reverts.
What about your daughters? Do they feel the same?
I think they do. I think they haven't really known much different, so it's kind of like the norm for them, just to spend it with mum. Yeah.
Would you have any advice for any reverts in how to, if they were, let's say, wanting to revert, but they were right on the fence and they were wanting to take that step, what advice would you give them?
I'd ask them to pray for guidance. One thing, I'd ask them to ask if they know any Muslims, ask a lot of questions.
So ask questions.
Ask questions, yeah.
And find and seek knowledge before taking your shahada.
Yes,
that would be your advice.
Yeah.
How has your life changed since you reverted?
I'm much more at peace. I've got a purpose in my life, alhamdulillah. It's kept me going throughout the years, through all the ups and downs. It's really kept me going, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So when you reverted in your life, it's more of that sense of peace that you found. Whereas, what about before you reverted?
I was always close to God, I think. I always had God in my life, but I think just knowing that Allah's always with me no matter what. So alhamdulillah, it's given me a lot of peace over the years through divorce, loss of family. So alhamdulillah.
Just knowing that it is what it is and it's all with Allah.
It keeps me going, keeps me waking up every day, alhamdulillah, for another day. Keeps me going, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. In terms of reverting, what's been the most rewarding aspect of becoming a Muslim, inshallah?
Oh, knowing that Allah's chosen me, I guess, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions that the non-believers have of Islam, do you think?
Well, I know when I used to tell people I was Muslim, in my 20s I used to think that my husband forced me into Islam, which is not true. It was my own choice. My own choice that I had to revert to Islam to marry him. So it was my own choice. I did it by my own fruition to revert, alhamdulillah. I guess... does your husband control you? Does your husband let you do this? Does your husband let you do X, Y, and Z? Alhamdulillah, but I had so much freedom when I was married, so I wasn't controlled in any way. So
alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So did all that misconception and things surrounding that, did that affect you in any way personally or even religiously?
No. I used to always try and stand up for Islam if people asked me or said anything about it. So alhamdulillah, even my family used to stand up for me too, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Did you find when people sort of made comments about you or any of these misconceptions, did you find that it made you sort of stronger in faith?
Yeah, alhamdulillah,
I'm the same. It made me a lot stronger in faith.
Even get some questions from the Islamic community as well, and a lot of misconceptions about being a revert as well.
There's a lot of misconception around that. In terms of you personally, do you think Islam has bettered yourself? Have you grown as a person since you reverted?
I say so. I mean, in my 20s I was a little bit lost after my divorce. I went a bit off the track, so to speak, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten more closer to Allah. It's made me stronger and who I am today, alhamdulillah.
And as a revert yourself and personally, do you think that there could be more resources out there for reverts? So say if someone reverted and she got kicked out of her home, just for example, do you think that there should be more out there?
Sure, of course, definitely, yes.
What would you like to see more of in terms of resources?
I think, personally I know maybe charity as well for reverts as well, I think, because if you get divorced from your husband or your husband leaves you and you end up basically homeless, where you're meant to go, maybe more refuges for reverts as well.
Inshallah,
stuff like that,
So in terms of resources, you said you would like to see more refuges, more donations. Has there ever been an instance where you've gone to a charity, either Muslim or non-Muslim alike?
Yes, there has been,
Okay, what charities have you went to?
Non-Muslim or Muslim charity?
Both, any.
I can't remember the Muslim charity. It was over 10 years ago. I think it was a pretty bad experience. Being a single mum, I needed help.
How so? What was your experience with that?
They didn't help me at all when I went there. So they didn't help me at all. So and I needed help with groceries. They just didn't help me. Have you ever been to a Christian organisation or a charity organisation and you found that you've been treated a little bit better? Yes. 100%. Like the Salvos or St. Vinny's, you give them a call and they don't even ask you anything about your religion or anything like that. They're quite willing to help you, which is a shame because when you're a single parent or struggling financially, you need as much help as you want. You'd hope that like the Muslim charities would reach out and help you more, but I think you have to fit their criteria, and I don't think I fit their criteria somehow. No, unfortunately.
I found the same. Like in my personal experience, I've sort of had some really good experiences with Muslim charities, but only if you know the right people. If you don't know the right people, then I find it's very, very hard to get your foot in the door as a revert. Whereas if you go to a Christian one, which I have gone to many at the time, and especially being a single mum with 2 boys, one with a disability. I've been treated a lot better. Like I wasn't looked at as anything. I was just looked as a human being
who needs help. Yeah, I found that.
Whereas a Muslim charity, and sometimes I get where they have to be cautious with the Muslims' money because a lot of it is donations.
I understand.
But at the same time, they do treat you a lot differently.
They do.
If you don't fit a certain criteria, and I find that criteria is sometimes really inappropriate or unnecessary, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like I get judged, I shouldn't say judged, but I feel like they treat you differently when you wear the hijab. You don't wear the hijab, whereas I went to the salvos and they had no problem when I was wearing hijab. They didn't even question me, quite willing to help. And since that experience, I've never been back to a Muslim charity, and that was over 10 years ago. I'm just too hesitant to go back there.
I find the same. I find it's really, even getting a hold of a masjid, a mosque, is very, very hard these days. Like I've tried to reach out for a few sisters, and sometimes I don't even get responded to. They just sort of wipe it. They put it to the side as soon as I feel like if you mention revert. And they sort of shun away with it. It's like, well, you're Australian, you're in Australia, you shouldn't need help. Whereas someone who's from a Muslim background or a Muslim household need it more than what we would.
But we wouldn't reach out and we didn't need help, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
and I feel like whereas the Christian organisations and charities, they don't ask too many questions. They just ask the necessities, and if you need help, you need help.
No hesitation. So it's a shame, because we want to go to Muslim charities to get help because it's hard, especially if you don't have any family, Muslim family around you. It's really difficult to find the help that you need.
Yeah, of course.
So
do you find within the Muslim community, in terms of like the closeness within the community, that's a little bit segregated?
I've got Revert sisters who treat me like family, but apart from that, I find it
very segregating.
Well, I don't wear the hijab all the time. If I'm not wearing the hijab, people look at you differently and ask you questions, and that's why I avoid all the the Islamic gatherings, because I don't want to be asked so many questions, bombarded with questions.
So you feel like you're judged?
I feel like I'm judged
from born Muslims.
Not all the time.
No. We're not talking on a grand scheme. We're talking about sometimes, you personally.
Sometimes, you feel that. Sometimes I do. Yeah, and I avoid going to the mosque. I avoid going to Islamic functions because they're going to think, well, what are they going to think about me? They don't know me. They don't know who I am as a Muslim. They don't know I've been a revert for so many years. So they're judging me on the outer appearance, not the inside. I know it's important, don't get me wrong, but they're judging me on the inside appearance, which I think a lot of reverts face.
And does that affect you at all? Like, does it affect you personally? Does it affect you on a religious basis, or just as a personal thing?
Probably religiously, because I want to connect with Muslims, like I've got my girls, I've got my friends, but they've got their own lives, so I want to connect with Muslims and pray together and learn about Islam, and emotionally.
And you find that stops you because you can't really get that connectedness with the community, so it sort of brings you away from Allah a little bit rather than a bit closer.
Yeah, because I was going to some classes in Lakemba, and I put on the hijab just to go to the classes, which is fine by me, but I want to take my youngest daughter, to these classes as well, but just stay at home in my own little world.
Do your daughters cover it all?
No.
Do you know if they sort of feel similar in the struggle where they get judged a little bit?
Oh, probably my eldest. I think my youngest is not really aware, maybe because of her autism, maybe because of her age, but it's probably my eldest, yeah. Yeah.
Does she have any Muslim connections within the community, Muslim friends?
She's got a couple. I know when she went to high school she had more Muslim friends, but yeah, she's got a couple, yeah, not apart from me. I guess she's in the same situation as me. I feel like she'd be getting judged if she went to, you know, Islamic event or Islamic classes, which is a shame because it should be welcoming. I know in the church they welcome you, like regardless of your past, regardless of what you do, they welcome you with open arms. I'm not saying I don't get welcome, but it's always a bit of hesitation.
It's not what you were expecting.
No,
because
no.
I was saying this before, that we have this vision, we have this expectation when we become Muslim that it's just this strong, united.
Yeah, and it's not.
It's so segregated.
Even between like Pakistanis and Lebanese, it's still like, oh, they're Pakistani, they're not, they're this, or they're Lebanese and they're this. It's just like we're supposed to be Muslim brothers and sisters, so it's really hard.
Yeah, we're supposed to put you're a Muslim before whatever comes after that, whether it's your background, your age, your nationality, your gender, things like that. So is that something that you found impacted you with the segregation?
Yes, it did, yeah.
Is it off-putting for you? Like, when you first became Muslim, your experience was a little bit different because you had a husband, you went to Pakistan. Yeah. But coming back, do you find that it's very off-putting for you?
Coming back after going to Pakistan or coming back after my divorce?
After your divorce.
Off-putting, yeah. And if you're divorced as well, it's like, well, what did you do, sister? It's your, like, you know, what's wrong with you, you know? Like, you have to go into detail of why you're divorced. And they don't think they ask.
Do you find that there's a judgment around that with reverts, that majority of the time they're single mums divorced and it's somehow our fault and we're sort of been wanting to get swept to the side and our only option is sometimes to be a second wife.
Yes, exactly, because you feel like, I don't know, I know like in the Australian community they don't judge you so much if you're divorced, but it's like, well, I know in the Pakistani community, well, what does she do? And she's Australian and she must have did X, Y and Z, and so I know the feeling. I live that life every day, sis, every day.
Exactly. Mashallah, mashallah. What would you like to see moving forward in terms of reverts and born Muslims? Would you like to see more conversations?
Yes, more conversations, more maybe people reaching out to reverts, especially if they're by themselves, because it gets very lonely, especially this time of year coming up to Ramadan and Eid. It gets extremely lonely, extremely lonely, and loneliness is not a good thing.
So you would, obviously you said you'd like to see more talks. What else would you like to see? More gatherings between sisters, having real conversations about how we can bridge the gap, things like that. Is that something that you would?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, inshallah. So in terms of fixing things and moving forward, what would you like to see?
Well, I'd like to maybe meet up with some sisters on a Wednesday or a Friday or any day of the week, and you know, like-minded sisters such as ourselves, and maybe meet for a coffee and maybe go and pray Isha prayer together or Maghrib prayer together, and that way I feel more comfortable, or we will feel more comfortable going to the mosque, because I haven't been to the mosque. I think the last time I went to the mosque was like maybe 2 months ago. It was the first time in over 20 years. I just don't feel comfortable going by myself. Need someone there, not to help me, but just someone to share the experience with, I think.
So you want that connection when you go to the masjid. You want to have your sisters around you, and you want to feel that sense of being a Muslim and that sense of Islam.
Sure, and I want to take my daughters to the mosque as well, and I think they feel more comfortable having sisters there as well.
So in terms of what you just said, so you would like to see more sisters come together. So for example, you'd like them to share numbers, WhatsApp group, get maybe some little religious groups happening where you can come and seek knowledge, share knowledge, go for coffee, go for prayer. Is that something that you would like?
Definitely. I'm sure I know a lot of reverts I speak to, they look for that. Nearly reverts as well, they look for that as well. So,
Well, inshallah ya Rab, I am a part of the Reverts initiative, which is a charity organisation that a beautiful sister started, and a few of our sisters have jumped on board as partners, and this is something that we're really working on, especially in Ramadan, because it is, for Reverts, one of the loneliest months, and especially in my experience, and I know a lot of other Reverts have this as well, that some Reverts are still with their families while in the month of Ramadan, and some of them have to hide the fact that they're fasting, or they have to be very, very hush-hush about the whole experience, which sort of takes it away. Like it takes everything away. Like sometimes when I was living with my family, I didn't look forward to Ramadan because I felt like it was taken away from me. I don't know if you've had a similar experience with that.
No, alhamdulillah, my family were really opening and welcoming to me being Muslim, so I know sisters or even brothers that go through that as well, which is quite sad.
It is sad, and especially when you don't have sort of a Muslim community to go to. It sort of really just takes the blessing out of Ramadan for you.
It does.
So how does that, I want to know, like, how does that feel when you got married and you had Islam around you and you didn't have the same experience that most Reverts
It felt really good, alhamdulillah, because my family were really open, especially my mum, she's really open, so they're really open. It's really good, alhamdulillah, because I know I've heard a lot of sad stories about Reverts and their family disowning them, and so alhamdulillah, it was amazing. I was blessed, alhamdulillah.
They never sort of got curious themselves in terms of wanting?
My mum did, before she passed away. She was asking a lot of questions. I used to tell her and stuff, so
So I want to take you back to when you first became Muslim, or even after your divorce, really. How did you go with the salah and learning the Arabic and the meaning of the words?
Well, I didn't really start praying in Arabic until probably 6 months before my husband left me. He taught me first in Arabic, then the translation, then he taught me the steps, and then after he left me, I kind of stopped praying for a little while. It wasn't until I had my eldest daughter that I started praying again, and someone taught me how to pray, and learnt the translation through. I had a book, like the Arabic and the English. I learnt it simultaneously at the same time, so alhamdulillah.
So when you're praying and you're saying the Arabic, do you understand what you're saying when you're saying it?
I learned it in English, alhamdulillah. It's very tricky, but I learnt it. I think to understand it fully, you have to try, maybe learn it in English first, so you understand what you're saying, so you get the full meaning of it.
See, I do know some of the meaning. Where I find my struggle right now as a revert is because throughout my journey I didn't have anyone to teach me the meaning of the Arabic, and for me to do it by myself is very, very difficult, because the Arabic language is, subhanallah, very complex.
It is, isn't it?
And I find that's where some reverts struggle a bit, because the connection is sort of, how can I say it, broken a little bit, because we don't understand what we're saying. We're just standing there and reciting. And the connection is really from understanding what you're saying. It's that connection between you and Allah. And I find a lot of reverts miss that, because we don't understand what we're saying, and we don't have anyone to teach us. Whereas again, your experience was much different.
Alhamdulillah. But I think learning in English is the most important thing first. Maybe that's my.
So that would be your advice.
Exactly. So you know what you're saying. If you have someone to teach you, that's even better. If not, there's plenty of places online that can teach you, I guess. But definitely learn, know what you're saying. Do
you think, in terms of being a revert, that the leadership there is missing, like within the community?
Leadership in what way?
In the Islamic community.
Yeah.
We're talking from an Islamic perspective. Do you think the leadership there is lacking?
To learn how to pray or learn
So in terms of leadership that will come and help the reverts learn and guide us so we can be a little bit stronger.
I think so, definitely. We definitely need more people reaching out to us. Reverts, non-reverts, born Muslims, teach us how to pray, go through the steps with us, you know what I mean? So is
that something that you would also like to see moving forward? Is the leaders in the community to come forth and sort of reach out to the reverts and sort of offer some guidance and some teachings?
Yeah, definitely, anything to do with Islam, I think we need more teachings as well, because like when you take the Shahada, you kind of expect to know everything. You don't. There's still so much to learn. So everything. Yeah.
Is that another thing where you think after you take a Shahada, everyone just expects you to miraculously know
expects you to follow that way? Like you've lived one life and all of a sudden overnight you have to live another life. It takes time, because everything takes time.
So you feel like there's not a lot of understanding around what reverts have to go through in terms of they live one life and it's over a multitude of lives, because everyone led different lives. Some very hectic, some not so much. So do you find that there's really a lack of understanding?
I think there is. Definitely.
And how do you think we could fix that moving forward with born Muslims?
People reaching out. Not classes, I guess, just for reverts maybe. People who want to learn about Islam. Definitely.
Do you think they could also organise discussions between born Muslims and reverts and sort of
to ask questions is good, because that's how I learned, was asking my first husband what's the questions, and reading as much as you can is a very important thing too.
I find people don't ask questions to reverts. They sort of build their own opinion and then that's sort of just plastered across the board. And I feel like that's something that has to change through discussions and born Muslims asking us questions. Come to us and ask us, and we'll be open to tell you,
because we want to know as much as we can. And
you feel like they should do the same?
I think so, definitely.
Inshallah ya Rab. Well, my dear sister, I would like to thank you and Jazakallah khairan for coming on here and sharing your story and travelling all this way. You travelled 40 minutes to get here?
I think so,
40 minutes?
I think so.
Mashallah,
Alhamdulillah, it was worth it.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you. Jazakallah khair again for sharing your thoughts, and inshallah you'll be a big inspiration to other reverts out there.
Inshallah, you too, sister. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. So again, I want to thank you and may Allah reward you.
You too.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.